for source outside my sycamore tree. Sing on a green willow, her hand on her bosom, her head on her knee. Sing willow, willow, willow. The fresh streams run by her and murmured her moan. Sing willow, willow, willow. The salt is for sunburn and soften the stone. Sing willow, willow, willow. Prithee, hithee, you come on. Sing all the green willow must be my darling. Let nobody blame in this scorn I approve.
Welcome back to the Wheel of Shakespeare Challenge. We missed the last couple of weeks. I was afraid that some people would forget about us, and apparently there was some confusion about whether I was saying that we were going to come back today or the following Saturday, but so only a couple people have shown up, myself, John, and it looks like we just got Maggie, but looks like we lost Ted. He probably got bumped out, but I'm sure he'll be back. But anyway, small group or no, I've missed performing monologues and scenes with other Shakespearean fanatics, and even with a small group, I'm looking forward to doing this, and hopefully there won't be any misunderstanding next week, and we'll get a larger group performing with us once again. So anyway, based on who's here now, we have the order we're going to go in. We have that was predetermined randomly will be John, then Ted, if he comes back, then myself, then Maggie. So that said, without further ado, John will be performing the first monologue. Oh, Henry just made it in, so glad he's here. So John will go first. Let's get the wheel up on the screen, and we'll spin for John. Okay, so John is going to perform Hotspur, my liege, I did deny no prisoners. So let me create the banner for that. And that is in Act 1, Scene 3 of Henry IV, Part 1.
Okay.
Okay, so
a little bit of a late start here. I should have already had this up. So we're looking at Shakespeare, Henry IV, Part 1. Henry IV, Part 1. Act 1, Scene 3?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. My liege, I did deny no prisoners, but I remember when the fight was done, when I was dry with rage and extreme toil, breathless and faint, leaning upon my sword, came there a certain lord, neat and trimly dressed, fresh as a bridegroom, and his chin new reaped showed like a stubble hand at harvest home. He was perfumed like a milliner, and twixt his finger and his thumb he held a pouncet box, which ever and anon he gave his nose and took away again. Who therewith angry, when it next came there, took it in snuff. And still he smiled and talked, and as the soldiers bore dead bodies by, he called them untaught knaves, unmannerly, to bring a slovenly, unhandsome course betwixt the wind and his nobility. With many holiday and lady terms he questioned me, amongst the rest demanded my prisoners in your majesty's behalf. I then, all smarting with my wounds being cold, to be so pestered with popinjay, out of my grief and my impatience, angered, answered neglectingly, I know not what. He should or he should not. For he made me mad to see him shine so brisk and smell so sweet and talk so like a waiting gentlewoman of guns and drums and wounds. God save the mark. And telling me the sovereign thing on earth was parmacetti for an inward bruise, and that it was great pity, so it was, this villainous saltpetre should be digged out of the bowels of the harmless earth, which many a good tall fellow had destroyed so cowardly. But for these vile guns, he would himself have been a soldier, this bald, unjointed chat of his, my lord. I answered indirectly, as I said, and I beseech you, let not his report come current for an accusation betwixt my love and your high majesty.
Okay, very good. Good. So let's see. Ted made it back, so which is good. So, and he will go next. Ted, welcome back. Ted will be doing. Upon the King, Henry. I know we've all done this several times, but it's been a while, so look forward to seeing a new version of this. Oh, darn. Looks like we just lost Ted again. Well, I'm going to keep that in mind that we did spin that one for him, and if and when he makes it back, we'll look forward to seeing that one from him. Whereas then it is my turn. It's my turn. I'll go next. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to see him do Upon the King. Okay, but I'm spinning for myself, and I'm going to get. Right, I have done this one before, so I'm gonna spin again. Right. Hamlet, oh what a rogue! Been a while since we've seen anybody do this one, and like I know I've never done this one before. I'm looking forward to it. So Ted did just make it back. We'll do mine. We'll do my Hamlet one, and then when I'm done, Ted's going to do Upon the King. Let me find my monologue. And okay. Now I am alone. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. Is it not monstrous that this player here could force his soul, could but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit? From her working all his visage wand, tears in his eyes, distraction his aspect, a broken voice, and his whole functions suiting with forms to his conceit? And all for nothing. The Hecuba! What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? What would he do? Had he the motive and the cue for passion that I have, he would drown the stage with tears, and cleave the general ear with horrid speech, make mad the guilty and appall the free, confound the ignorant, and amaze indeed the very faculties of eyes and ears. Yet I, a dull and muddy-meddled rascal, peak like John o' Dreams, unpregnant of my cause, and can say nothing. No, not for a king upon whose property and most dear life a damned defeat was made? Am I a coward? Who calls me villain? Breaks my pate across, plucks off my beard and blows it in my face, tweaks me by the nose, gives me the lie in the throat as deep as to the lungs. Who does me this? Ha! Swoons, I should take it, but it cannot be but I am pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter. Or ere this, I should have fatted all the region kites with this slave's awful, bloody body villain! Remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindless villain! Oh, vengeance! What an ass am I! This is most brave, that I, the son of a dear father murdered, prompted to my revenge by heaven and hell, must like a whore unpack my heart with words, and fall a-cursing like a very drab, a scullion! Fie upon it, fie upon my brain. I have heard that guilty creatures sitting at a play have by the very cunning of the scene been struck so to the soul that present they have proclaimed their malefactions. For murder, though it have no tongue, will speak with most miraculous organ. I'll have these players play something like the murder of my father before mine uncle. I'll observe his looks. I'll tempt him to the quick. If he but blench, I know my course. The spirit that I have seen may be the devil, and the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape. Yea, and perhaps out of my weakness and my melancholy, and as he is very potent with such spirits, abuses me to damn me. I'll have grounds more relative than this. The play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king. Okay, glad to do that one. Okay, Ted, you're back. Is your connection working okay?
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay, great. You got what we spun for you, correct?
No, I didn't. Would you tell me that?
King Henry, upon the king. Conclusion of King Henry V. Upon the king, Act 4, Scene 1, toward the very end.
Oh, hold on. Oh. Okay.
Okay, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Upon the king, let us our lives, our souls, our debts, our careful wives, our children, and our sins lay on the king. We must bear all. O hard condition, twin-born with greatness, subject to the breath of every fool, whose sense no more can feel but his own wringing. What infinite heart's ease must kings neglect, that private men enjoy? And what have kings, that privates have not too, save ceremony, save general ceremony? And what art thou, thou idle ceremony? What kind of God art thou that sufferest more of mortal griefs than do thy worshippers? What are thy rents? What are thy comings in? Oh, ceremony, show me but thy worth. What is thy soul of adoration? Art thou aught else but place, degree, and form, creating awe and fear in other men? Wherein thou art less happy, being feared than they in fearing? What drink'st thou oft instead of homage sweet, but poison flattery? Oh, be sick, greatness, and bid thy ceremony give thee cure. Think'st thou the fiery fever will go out with titles blown from adulation? Will it give place to flexure and low bending? Canst thou, when thou command'st the beggar's knee, command the health of it? No, thou proud dream, that placed so subtly with a king's repose, I am a king that find thee, and I know 'tis not the balm, the scepter, and the ball, the sword, the mace, the crown imperial, the intertissued robe of golden pearl, the first title running for the king, the throne he sits on, nor the tide of pomp that beats upon the high shore of this world. No, not all these thrice gorgeous ceremony, not all these, laid in bed majestical, can sleep so soundly as the wretched slave, who with a body filled and vacant mind gets him to rest, crammed with distressful bread, never sees horrid night, the child of hell, but like a lackey from the rise to set, sweats in the eye of Phoebus, and all night sleeps in Elysium. Next day after dawn doth rise and help Hyperion to his horse, and follows so the ever-running year, with profitable labor, to his grave. And but for ceremony, such a wretch, winding up days with toil and nights with sleep, had the forehand advantage of a king. The slave, a member of the country's peace, enjoys it, but in gross brain little wots what watch the king keeps to maintain the peace, whose hours the peasant best advantages. Scene.
Very nice.
That's
So
a mouthful.
So we have Maggie and Henry to perform, and then we'll start our scenes. Maggie, glad you were able to make it back in.
Me too.
You'll be doing Lancelot. Surely my conscience will serve me.
Merchant of Venice 2 to Lancelot.
Yeah, 2 scenes. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Here for you. So,
Okay, ready. Certainly my conscience will serve me to run from this Jew, my master. The fiend is at mine elbow and tempts me, saying to me, Gobbo, Lancelot, Gobbo, good Lancelot, or good Gobbo, or good Lancelot, Gobbo, use your legs, take the start, run away. My conscience says, no, take heed, honest Lancelot, take heed, honest Gobbo, or as aforesaid, honest Lancelot, Gobbo, do not run, scorn running with thy heels. Well, the most courageous fiend bids me pack. Via, says the fiend. Away, says the fiend. For the heavens, rouse up a brave mind, says the fiend, and run. Well, my conscience, hanging about the neck of my heart, says very wisely to me, my honest friend Lancelot, being an honest man's son, or rather an honest woman's son, for indeed my father did something smack, something to grow to. He had a kind of taste. Well, my conscience says, Lancelot, budge not. Budge, says the fiend. Budge not, says my conscience. Conscience, say I, you counsel well. Fiend, say I, you counsel well. To be ruled by my conscience, I should stay with the Jew, my master, who, God bless the mark, is a kind of devil. And to run away from the Jew, I should be ruled by the fiend, who, saving your reverence, is the devil himself. Certainly the Jew is the very devil incarnal, and in my conscience is but a kind of hard conscience to offer counsel me to stay with the Jew. The fiend gives me the more friendly counsel. I will run, fiend. My heels are at your command. I will run.
Okay, great. So lastly, we have Henry, and then we're going to start our scenes. So Henry is going to do... This was just recently added to the wheel, and nobody's done it yet. Hamlet's advice to the players. Act 3, Scene 2, the beginning.
Hamlet. Speak the speech.
Yes, that one. So whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly, on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as many of your players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke my lines. Nor do not saw the air too much with your hand thus, but use all gently. For in the very torrent, tempest, and, as I may see, the whirlwind of passion you must acquire and beget the temperance that may give it smoothness. Oh, it offends me to the soul to hear a robustious, periwig-pated fellow tear a passion to tatters, to very rags, to split the ears of the groundlings, who for the most part are capable of nothing but inexplicable dumb shows and noise. I would have such a fellow whipped for all doing. Termagant! It out Herods Herod, I pray you, avoid it. Be not too tame neither, but let your own discretion be your tutor. Suit the action to the word to the action. With this special awe step not the modesty of nature, for anything so overdone is from the purpose of playing, whose end, both at the first and now, was and is to hold as 'twere the mirror up to nature. To show virtue her own feature, scorn her own image, and the very age and body of the time his form and pressure. Now, this overdone, or come tardy off, though it makes the unskilful laugh, cannot but make the judicious grieve. The censure of the which one must in your allowance o'erweigh a whole theatre of others. Oh, there be players that I have seen play and heard others praise, and that highly, not to speak it profanely, that neither having the accent of Christians, nor the gait of Christian, pagan, nor man, have so strutted and bellowed, that I have thought some of them nature's journeymen had made men and not made them well. They imitated humanity so abominably. Oh, reform it altogether, and let those that play your clowns speak no more than is set down for them. For there be of them that will be with themselves laugh, to set on some quantity of barren spectators to laugh too, though in the meantime some necessary question of the play be then to be considered. That's villainous, and shows a most pitiful ambition in the fool that uses it. Go, make you ready.
Okay. We added that one to our collection, and Henry did a good inaugural performance of that one that just came onto the wheel. Okay, so now let's see for the, I was going to say for the 5 of us, it looks like we just lost Ted again. Hopefully we'll come back. Well, let's spin for some scenes for the 4 of us here. Okay, so we will do... All's well that ends well. Act 2, Scene 1. That's the King and Helena. That's where she's healing him and going to ask for her prize in return that sets in motion the marriage to Bertram. And Polonius, Ophelia, and Rinaldo. Okay, so that gives 5. So I'm assuming Ted's going to make it back, so we'll get 5 rolls. And if not, we'll find a way to have somebody that performed in the one scene perform a second time. Let's see. So Hamlet 2.1. That's going to be Polonius, Ophelia, and Rinaldo. Oh yeah, if it starts with Polonius talking to Rinaldo, and then Ophelia comes in. Rinaldo. Okay. So Henry went last. He'll have the first choice of those 5. So we have the King and Helena in All's Well That Ends Well, Polonius, Ophelia, and Rinaldo in Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 1. So Henry, what would you like?
I'll do Polonius, please.
Maggie, what would you like?
I guess I will take Ophelia in that scene.
Okay. I'll take the King in All's Well That Ends Well. And John between Helena and Rinaldo.
Ronaldo.
Okay. So Ted is trying to get back in. He had to go last. So Ted will take Helena. Well, we'll do that scene second. Okay, Ted. Ted, you just made it back in. Unfortunately, because we lost, we ended up getting lost choice. The scene.
Yeah,
you and I.
I'm sorry. I'm having some computer issues.
That's fine. All's Well That Ends Well, Act 2, Scene 1, the King and Helena. So I'll do the King, you do Helena. But first, while you're finding that, the other 3 are going to do Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 1. So let's find that one and get started. Or actually, let me to make it more clear to the viewers. Let's say we'll say Polonius's house. And let's see, we have Henry, Maggie, and John. Actually, so I'm gonna have Maggie out of the stream. She comes in later. So Polonius's house. The 2 of you, are you ready to go with the scene?
I'm looking. I'm sorry. I'm looking.
Okay.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
And then what is Act 1, Scene 2? You say?
Act 2, Scene 1.
Act 2, Scene 1.
I did. I played Polonius on Thursday.
Well, that's cool.
In a full read, but the Rinaldo scene, of course, was cut as it usually is. So
yeah,
to do this.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so go ahead.
Give him this money and these notes, Rinaldo.
I will, my lord.
You shall do marvellous wisely, good Rinaldo, before you visit him, to make inquire of his behaviour.
My lord, I did intend it.
Marry, well said, very well said. Look you, sir, inquire me first what danskers are in Paris, and who and how, what means, and where they keep what company at what expense. And finding by this encompassment and drift of question that they do know my son, come you more nearer than your particular demands will touch it. Take you as 'twere some distant knowledge of him, and thus I know his father and his friends, and in part Do you mark this, Rinaldo?
Aye, very well, my lord.
And in part him, but you may say, well, not well, but if it be he, I mean, he's very wild, addicted, and so and so. And then put on him what forgeries you please, marry none so rank as may dishonour him, take heed of that. But, sir, such wanton, wild, and usual slips as our companions noted, and most known to youth and liberty.
At gaming, my lord.
Aye, or drinking, fencing, swearing, quarrelling, drabbling, you may go so far.
My lord, that would dishonor him.
Oh, faith, no, as you may season it in the charge, you must not put another scandal on him, that he is open to incontinency. That's not my meaning. But breathe his faults so quaintly that they may seem the taints of liberty and flash the outbreak of a fiery mind, a savageness in unreclaimed blood of general assault.
But, my good lord,
Wherefore should you do this?
I, my lord, I would know that.
Marry, sir, here's my drift. And I believe it is a fetch of wit, you laying these slight sullies on my son, as 'twere a thing a little soiled in the working. Mark you, your party in converse, him you would sound, having ever seen in the prenominate crimes the youth you breathe of guilty, be assured he closes with you in this consequence. Good sir, or so, or friend, or gentleman, according to the phrase of the edition of Man and Country.
Very good, my lord.
And then, sir, does he this? He does. What was I about to say? By the mass, I was about to say something. Where did I leave?
That closes in the consequence at friend or so and gentleman.
That closes in the consequence. Aye, marry. He closes thus. I know the gentleman. I saw him yesterday, or t'other day, or then, with such or such, and as you say, there was a gaming. There or took in's rouse, there falling out at tennis, or perchance I saw him enter such a house of sale, videlect a brothel, or so forth. See you now, your bait of falsehood takes the carp of truth, and thus do we of wisdom and of reach with windlasses and with assays of bias by indirections find directions out. So, by my former lecture and advice, shall you, my son. You have me, have you not?
My lord, I have.
God be with you.
Good,
Hey.
my lord. Oh,
Observe his inclination in yourself,
I shall, my lord.
and let him ply his music.
Well, my lord.
Farewell. How now, Ophelia? What's the matter?
Oh, my lord, I have been so affrighted.
With what, in the name of God?
My lord, as I was sewing in my closet, Lord Hamlet, with his doublet all unbraced, no hat upon his head, his stockings fouled, ungartered, and down gibed to his ankle, his knees knocking each other, and with a look so piteous in purport, as if he had been loosed out of hell to speak of horrors, he comes before me.
Mad for thy love?
My lord, I do not know, but truly I do fear it.
What said he?
He took me by the wrist and held me hard. Then he goes to the length of all his arm, and with his other hand thus o'er his brow, he falls to such perusal of my face as he would draw it. Long stayed he so. At last a little shaking of mine arm, and thrice his head waving up and down, he raised a sigh so piteous and profound as it did seem to shatter all his bulk and end his being. That done, he lets me go, and with his head o'er his shoulder turned, he seemed to find his way without his eyes. For out of doors he went without their helps, and to the last bended their light on me.
Oh, come, go with me. I will go see the king. This is the very ecstasy of love, whose violent property fordoes itself and leads the world to desperate undertakings as oft as any passion under heaven that does afflict our natures. I am sorry. What, have you given him any hard words of late?
No, my good lord, but as you did command, I did repel his fetters and denied his access to me.
Ah, this hath made him mad. I am sorry that with better heed and judgment I had not quoted him. I feared he did but trifle and meant to wreck thee. But beshrew my jealousy. By heaven, it is as proper to our age to cast beyond ourselves in our opinions as it is common for the younger sort to lack discretion. Come, we go to the king. This must be known, which, being kept close, might move more grief to hide than hate to utter love.
Okay, great. I don't think we've done that one before, or maybe we have, but it's been a while. So, but I'm glad that it was a good one to watch. The three of you do. So anyway, now it's myself and Ted. It's the end of the scene. The king is dying before Helena saves him, and they announce Helena. LeFou isn't. So from the point where LeFou exits and the king, it's just the king and Helena on stage. So now fair one. You're good. You found that spot.
No,
Did you hand
which
up?
act, which scene?
Act
I
2,
didn't
scene
hear.
1. Act 2, scene 1. It's the end from the point where LeFou announces Helena and he exits, and the king begins with "Now, fair one. Does your business follow?" Let me go from there.
Okay.
You found it?
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Now, fair one, does your business follow us?
I, my good lord, Gerard de Narbonne was my father. In what he did profess, well found.
I knew him.
The rather will I spare my praises towards him. Knowing him is enough. On's bed of death many receipts he gave me, chiefly one, which, as the dearest issue of his practice and of his old experience, the oily darling, he bade me store up as a triple eye, safer than mine own tomb, more dear. I have so, and hearing your high majesty is touched with that malignant cause wherein the honor of my dear father's gift stands chief in power, I come to tender it and my appliance with all but bound humbleness.
We thank you, maiden. But may not be so credulous of cure when our most learned doctors leave us, and the congregated college have concluded that laboring art can never ransom nature from her inaidable estate. I say we must not so stain our judgment or corrupt our hope to prostitute our past cure malady to empirics, or to dissever so our great self and our credit, to esteem a senseless help when help past sense we deem.
My duty then shall pay me for my pains. I will no more enforce mine office on you, humbly entreating from your royal thoughts a modest one to bear me back again.
I cannot give thee less to be called grateful. Thou thought'st to help me, and such thanks I give as one near death to those that wish him live. But what at full I know, thou knowest no part. I knowing all my peril, thou art no art.
What I can do no hurt to try, since you set up your rest 'gainst remedy. He that of greatest works is finisher, oft does them by the weakest minister. So holy writ in babes hath judgment shown, when judges have been babes. Great floods have flown from simple sources, and great seas have dried when miracles have by the greatest been denied. Oft expectation fails, and most oft there where most it promises, and oft it hits where hope is coldest and despair most fits.
I must not hear thee. Fare thee well, kind maid. My pains not used must by thyself be paid. Proffers not took reap thanks for their reward.
Inspired merit so by breath is barred. It is not so with him that all things knows, as 'tis with us that square our guess by shows. But most it is presumption in us when the help of heaven we count the act of men. Dear sir, to my endeavors give consent. Of heaven, not me, make an experiment. I am not an impostor that proclaim myself against the level of mine aim, but know I think, and think I know most sure, my art is not past power, nor you past cure.
Art thou so confident? Within what space hopest thou my cure?
The greatest grace-lending grace, ere twice the horses of the sun shall bring their fiery torture his diurnal ring, ere twice in murk and occidental damp, moist Hesperus hath quenched his sleepy lamp, or 24 times the pilot's glass hath told the thievish minutes how they pass. What is infirm from your sound parts shall fly, health shall live free, and sickness freely die.
On thy certainty and confidence, what darest thou venture?
Tax of imprudence, a strumpet's boldness, a divulged shame, traduced by odious ballads, my maiden's name seared otherwise, nay, worse, if worse, extended, with vilest torture let my life be ended.
Thinks in thee some blessed spirit doth speak, his powerful sound within an organ weak. And what impossibility would slay in common sense saves another way. Thy life is dear, for all that life can rate, worth the name of life in thee hath estimate. Youth, beauty, wisdom, courage, all that happiness and prime can happy call, thou this to hazard needs most intimate, skill intimate, or monstrous desperate. Sweet practicer, thy physic I will try, that ministers thine own death if I die.
If I break time, or flinch in property of what I spoke, unpitied let me die, and well deserve not helping death's my fee. But if I help, what do you promise me?
Make thy demand.
But will you make it even?
I, by my scepter, and my hopes of heaven.
Then shalt thou give me with thy kingly hand what husband in thy power I will command. Exempted be from me the arrogance to choose from forth the royal blood of France, my low and humble name to propagate, with any branch or image of thy state. But such a one, thy vassal, whom I know is free for me to ask, thee to bestow.
Here is my hand. The premises observed, thy will by my performance shall be served. So make the choice in thy own time, for I, thy resolved patient, on thee still rely. More should I question thee, and more I must, though more to know could not be more to trust. From whence thou camest, how tended on, but rest, unquestioned, welcome, and undoubted blood. Give me some help, if thou proceed as high as word, my deed shall match thy need. Okay, great. So I'm glad that we were able to return this week. I wish there wasn't the confusion that made many people think that we weren't returning until the following week, hoping to get a better turnout next week. But it was still refreshing to see those of you that did come and get to perform with you once again. I hope everybody enjoyed, and I hope you'll tune in to this channel. See us again with the Wheel of Shakespeare next week. Bye now.